Hi friends, my name is Chloe. Here on my channel, we talk all about knitting and yarn and some other creative endeavors. I'm coming to you from the west coast of Canada, where it has been very wet for a very long time. No matter, I've got some knitting plans that I want to chat about for the next 3 or so months. I have decided that 2026, one of my goals is to kind of stash down a bit. I do have quite a few project quantities of yarn ready to go, but I find that most often when I see a pattern that I'm wanting to knit, the yarn that I have in stash isn't necessarily the right color that I'm inspired by for that pattern, or it's the wrong construction or the wrong weight. And I have really beautiful yarn. And so I want to spend 2026 trying to focus on using the yarn that I have so that in the future, once I've kind of not destashed, but used up what I have, then I can kind of go back to what my more natural tendency is, which is to pick to pick a pattern and then to find yarn that suits that pattern in whatever color, construction, material that I want, right? So winter 2026-ish knitting plans is all from stash, which I'm really excited about. I have 2 honorable mentions. So these are patterns that I would love to knit at some point, and there's just something holding me back at the moment. So the first one is this yarn. So this is Knit Picks Palette, which is a fingering weight Highland wool, and this is Knit Picks Aloft, which is their lace weight silk mohair. I want to experiment. I've talked about this before, but with some more cost-effective yarns. I do knit really quickly, and so I just think in the long term, I don't want to be spending $300 per sweater. I just don't. So I wanted to try Knit Picks. I've seen people work with them quite a few times, and they enjoy usually the yarn and the knitting process. And so I bought this one to make the Matcha jumper by Vert Knit. The Matcha jumper is a DK weight stockinette sweater with a contiguous saddle shoulder construction, and then it's finished with twisted rib on the neckline, arms, and bottom hem. I love the Matcha jumper. It is beautiful. I think it's really classic, really simple. The shaping, the way that it's done, has these incredibly clean, really polished lines on it, and I just think that I would wear it all the time. My hesitation, I don't think that this color is for me. When I picked it online, I thought it was going to be a bit of a different shade, potentially a bit closer to the one that I'm wearing. Obviously, the chartreuse that I'm wearing is quite bright and neon. I didn't think it was going to be like that, but I wasn't really expecting green apple. And so what I'm realizing is that there's potentially some color families that I might just want to avoid purchasing online, because even small differences in the way it looks in a photo to how it looks in real life is potentially the difference between me wanting to wear it and me not wanting to wear it. I think this yarn, the Aloft, is so soft. And objectively, green apple is a nice color. I just don't think that green apple is a nice color on me. And I also don't think it really would fit into my wardrobe very well or at all. Just the colors that I have already, I don't think really blend. So before I knit the Matcha jumper, I either thinking that I'm gonna have to get a new yarn and potentially destash this, or possibly if I have a friend who likes this color and wants something in it, maybe I could work on something for them. I don't know yet, but that's why the Matcha jumper remains in sweater purgatory, which breaks my heart because I actually desperately want it. And this is a thing where it's I just don't have yarn in my stash that will work for it. And this is what I bought to make the Matcha jumper. And I have regret. It is a beautiful color. I just don't think it's for me. The color of these are both tarragon, And yeah, I had seen like a couple photos of it online, and I thought it was gonna be a bit different, and that's totally okay. My mistake. Okay, next honorable mention is this yarn, which is the Isayer Jensen in the color dark brass. This is probably the longest sweater quantity I have in my stash at the moment. I've had this for probably almost 3 years, not quite, but almost. And if you saw my first Vlogmas video, I actually decided I wanted to de-stash this. And I put it in my de-stash pile. And because I was like, I may change my mind, I'm gonna hold on to it for a few weeks, and then I'll decide. I'll revisit it, I'll think about it, and I'll decide later. And then when I was editing that video, I was like, wow, like this color, I was just reminded of like how beautiful I think this color is. And like, this is a color that does fit really well into my pattern, or my wardrobe. So the thing that I'm thinking of knitting with this is the Lauder cardigan or the Lauder sweater by Rebecca Clow from the Creabea. I knit so that's a pattern that comes in sweater, cardigan, and vest options with both round neck and V-neck options. So it's like lots to choose from. I test knit that pattern. I test knit the V-neck vest. I tested it in gray. All of those things, vest, V-neck, gray, not for me. So I did end up giving that sweater to a friend, but it's still a cable pattern that I think is beautiful, and I would like to have one. And this is remaining in my honorable mentions because I would need, I think, another skein of Jensen to do it. I think I would be short. And because I've had this in stash for such a long time, it makes me hesitant to like commit this yarn to that pattern when I don't really know if I have enough yarn, and I don't know if dye lots would be the same or even close enough. And I would also need / want a mohair for this, and that's an added expense. And so I think what I might do is just ponder it a bit more. I am going to keep this in stash, but the Lauder cardigan is a DK weight all over cable pattern, drop shoulder. I would probably do the V-neck cardigan, but there is a round neck cardigan option. And that's kind of like at the 22 stitch gauge. And one thing I've realized is like that 20 to 22 stitch gauge is one of my favorite gauges to work with and also to wear. So I do still want to make that pattern at some point. I still want to use this yarn. I just might not do it right now, and I might not do them together, but that's why they're honorable mentions. They're like soft plans. Okay, moving on to my concrete plans. This is yarn that I've had in my stash for a while. This is Derurum Natura Gilead in the color Merlot. It is a worsted weight semi-woolen spun yarn, and it's like plump and it's soft. I am gonna knit the Salty Days sweater by Kutovakika with this one, which is a like DK weight / worsted weight pattern. It's kind of a funny, it calls for like a DK worsted yarn, I believe, but then it's a 17 stitch gauge, so it's kind of like in the middle. But it is a drop shoulder sweater with a round neck, all over cables / lace / texture. You've probably seen it. It's not new, it's not groundbreaking, but I've had it in my list of like, I would like to make that for a while, and I just haven't gotten to it. And I actually think that this would be like a perfect pairing with that pattern, because the Gilead is gonna probably have some nice drape after it's blocked. So I think it'll open up and kind of like help with like not the breathability, but kind of the flow of the sweater. And it'll hold the texture really well in the cables in that pattern. So that is one of my first plans. My next plan, I anticipate is going to be a bit of a longer term project, but I would like to start it this winter. So I bought this yarn for this project. So I have the Cory wool from Sunday Fiber Co. And I have I want to do a colorwork sweater. So this is a fingering weight woolen spun yarn, and I think it'll be, it's going to be perfect for colorwork. So this is my main color. I want to knit the Camélia cardigan by Soumine, and that is a fingering weight raglan all over color work cardigan that's steeked down the middle, and it's knit at a 23 stitch gauge. And so I think that the 23 stitches is a bit open for a fingering weight sweater, but then I think because this is all over color work, like you're gonna have still like basically 2 layers of yarn because you're gonna be carrying floats. And so I think that the combination of a slightly more open gauge with the color work, I think will be really nice, and it'll result in a cardigan that is not too warm, I'm hoping. I have also never steeked anything, and I am really excited to try that. So I'm excited to for this project for multiple reasons. So the yarn colors that I have, this is the main color. So this is called Itinerary. It is from her Wes Anderson collection. And then you need 3 contrast colors. So these are the 3 that I've picked. My purple ball is not quite as beautifully wound as my other 2 because mid-winding, I was winding too fast and it flew off the winder. And then I couldn't get it back on, so I had to finish winding it by hand, and that's why it looks so dorky. That's okay. So these are the contrast colors that I've picked out. What I think I'm gonna do is there's kind of 2 different flower motifs, which I think I'm gonna do in the blue and the purple. And then I'm gonna do the mustard as kind of the accent color, I think. When I bought the yarn, I didn't really know exactly what colors I wanted, and I kind of wanted to see them together before picking. So I also have this sagey color of green, and this is an option as well. So what I might do is when I'm swatching, I'm probably gonna play around with the color combinations and just really see what I want. But yeah, I'm aware that I probably won't be able to finish this in the next couple months, but I do want to get it started and just have it as kind of a more mentally involved knit that I can work on. My next knitting plan is that I really want to use the Woolly Thistle Rambler again. I included this in my test I did. The video is up. I will put it in the description if I remember, but it's about which nylon free sock yarns are the best. Not the best ever, but I picked 5 and I tested them. And one that stood out to me was the Woolly Thistle Rambler, and I did it originally in this kind of oatmeal-y color. Since then, the Woolly Thistle has gifted me 2 more skeins of their Rambler yarn, and one of them is this one. It's in the color Lake. And so what I want to do with it is I want to knit a 3x1 kind of sporty ribbed sock. I want it to be pretty tall, quite a long leg. And I want to have that, and I want to try hiking in it. I love hiking in wool socks. And so I kind of think that this would be a great option for that. And then what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to use the blue as the main color. I'm going to knit down the rib, and then I'm going to do 3 stripes in the oatmeal color, and then continue the rest of the sock in the blue. And I think that that's going to be fun. It's going to be sporty, and it's going to be enjoyable. I'm really excited about that one. I don't often include socks, I don't think, in my knitting plans, although that could definitely be a lie. I don't remember anything. But I'm excited to have that one and then to be able to wear that during hiking season this year. Okay, my last one. This is covered in fluff and dust, but this is Briggs & Little Heritage, which is an Aran-ish worsted-ish weight Canadian wool, and it's known for like its hard wearing durability. And I have it in stash. I got it last year on a work trip. I've got this like beautiful navy color. And originally I was thinking, oh, maybe I would make the Salty Days sweater in this. But what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna knit the Lakes cardigan by Ozetta. So that is like a worsted / Aran weight pattern, V-neck, saddle shoulders, knit at a 16 stitch gauge. And so I think that this would be really suitable for that. And then I think it may not necessarily be something to wear inside, but it could be a bit more jacket-like. Like I could wear it outside on cooler days if I don't want to wear like a jacket. And I think that that is going to be a nice, like, not necessarily quick, but easier knit that kind of is going to build up fairly quickly. A couple of, like, the Gilead that I'm going to do for the Salty Days sweater and the Camélia cardigan, those are both going to be more involved knits with some texture and color work. And so I think it'll be really nice to have like a simple, easy peasy cardigan that I can work on when I'm kind of wanting something a little bit more relaxing. So that concludes my winter knitting plans. I'm really excited to work on all of these. I had a bit of a knitting slump this fall and wasn't really motivated to work on anything, so I'm still kind of finishing up works in progress from like August and September. And while those are still really enjoyable, I am like frothing at the mouth to cast something new on. I'm trying to be restrained though. So thank you for listening to me ramble about my yarn and my plans, and I will see you at a later date, and I will let you know how this is all going.